So I think that once everybody comes together and can actually realize what Black people go through, I think that we'll all be able to come together as a team.
If your heart is open, this time will change you.
In addition to COVID-19, we're obviously facing another pandemic with social injustice. And it would be naive to not address how much an emotional toll this last week, 10 days, has had on all of us, but particularly those in the Black community. I think, if anything, this past week has shown that we need to take action. And it might be something as simple as listening. It might be something as simple as standing with our fellow man. We hear you, we see you, we stand with you. And at ESPN, we stand against racism. We stand for inclusion. We stand with our fellow Black and African American colleagues. We stand with the fellow fans, the athletes. We stand with the entire Black community. Teamwork is what we need now more than ever, more than ever. So today we're coming together. We're going to talk about social injustice. We're going to talk about COVID-19, the global pandemic. We're here to create a positive environment, and we're here to stay healthy and positive and remember that we are all in this together. And now, without further ado, let's bring in our guest, Brown, Jeff Saturday. I feel like we need some sort of like drum roll situation here. Can I do like a fake? Can we do like a fake drum roll on the desks or something? I don't know, guys. It's really good to see you guys. Even though this is weird and we're having these conversations from home. I kind of want to ask like the basic question. I think that we're all being asked right now. Whenever you kind of talk to someone that you haven't talked to in a long time, how are you? But I think it's an important question to ask. How are you guys right now? Kane, we'll start with you.
I'm good right now. I'm in my house. I've got time off. I'm getting to hang out with my wife and my baby that just turned 7 months. I think it's pretty crazy what's going on in the world right now, and having to see everything on the news, and just kind of being stuck in the house and not really being able to help the situation at all. So for me, like it's a song thing. So I'm getting to put out a song that I've been holding for a while that I feel like is perfect for what's going on right now. So it's kind of me just trying to put poetry out there that people can maybe listen to and bring everybody together. But other than that, me and my family's doing pretty good.
Good. Jeff, what about you?
Pretty similar to Kane. I mean, this is a unique time, I think, for all of us. And I think as for me, it's unique. My parents actually, they moved in with us. And so their ages require, I guess, more awareness of COVID-19. So with them living with us, my son was in college. He had to come home. My daughter's, she's about to be a senior, so her junior year, I have a middle schooler. So we kind of run all the way. We have a very full house, and just having everybody in one home and being able to navigate where people are going and how they're going, and everybody's, my oldest son plays football at North Carolina, and so they would still have to train using, virtual training and all those different things. And so it's been a really unique time. And then obviously you made mention of it, right at the beginning, but what's going on with social injustice has just been, devastating for our country. And it is a time that we all need to pull together. I know my family as a whole, we have talked to friends, family, and just ask, things that we can do. And, it's difficult at times because sometimes you don't know what you can do. Like what can we do to help, and so I know I have reached out to a number of friends. We've had great conversations, and I think we all have a role. I don't know that we figured ours out quite yet, but I know that we do. We do stand united and with a sense of solidarity that we love our brothers and sisters. And man, we are with you, and anything we can do to help. And so I think that has been unique as well. For me being in the NFL for 14 years, obviously I have friends all over the place and all over the world and all different colors and all kinds of things. And different backgrounds, different upbringings. And so we've had a unique opportunity to have discussions on the phone from text chains and tweets and all kinds of things. And so, but this is a unique time in our country, and one that we'll all look back on and remember, no matter what age you are. It's one of those defining moments in history, and hopefully we all pull this thing together and make our country better tomorrow than it is today.
I think one of the most important things, obviously, that we can all do right now is listen and try to put yourself sort of in the shoes of someone else. Kane, I had to pull up your Twitter feed to find it, because you actually put something out this week on social media that I found to be really powerful, talking about race and how you've viewed yourself. And it said, first of all, I'm mixed. I'm black to the white guy, and I'm white to the black guy until a racial thing comes into play. So for you growing up, how do you feel that race and the color of your skin impacted your upbringing?
Well, for me, for the longest, I didn't meet my dad until I was 16 years old. So I had half brother, which was white. My whole family was white. I had a couple black friends, but to me, like, I thought they were tan. I thought they were just like, they've been in the sun for a long time, just got a little darker. Then once I got into middle school, that's when I started finding out about race, and I had a couple people that bullied me all the time and started calling me the N-word. That's when I was first accepted to that word, and I didn't know what it meant. So I went home and asked my mom, and my little brother basically told me that I was biracial before my mom did. And so for that, it was kind of rough coming up, and then I got to high school, and you had to kind of pick what crowds you hung around, and it was different. I've had people look at me when I come into stores. You just kind of feel this vibe, and I think like a lot of people that don't feel that vibe at all, they just don't understand it. So then, like if I see like a white person's point of view, it's like I also understand where they're coming from, because they can't see what the black person's going through if they don't live it. So I think that once everybody comes together and can actually realize what black people go through, I think that we'll all be able to come together as a team and, be able to talk it out.
So how do we do that? How can we understand what it is like?
I think it's honestly just trying to get that message across. There's a lot of people that I don't feel like that. In my song that I'm about to release, it says you can't. How are you going to change your heart if your heart's unmovable? It's basically just trying to get everybody's hearts where they can all see all parts, all different types of the way people are living. So that's my only thing, is how to get everybody to see on the same level.
Jeff, for you, you said something about, you played in the NFL, and obviously you've got friends, all different races. How do you think sports have impacted your view of race?
Oh man, I mean, for me, the area I grew up in, Atlanta, and so I was very comfortable being around all kinds of different people, because it was kind of a melting pot of cultures where I grew up and where I lived, the schools I went to, and in a locker room, in the majority of the locker room, especially once you get to college and the NFL. Being white, I was the minority, and in that small situation, and so I had a unique perspective. But I remember one thing very clearly. I remember when I was in the NFL, it was my first year. One of my best friends, Tarek Glenn, who was our left tackle, great big. I mean, he's 6'6", 350, huge human being, right? But just the softest heart of any man you'll ever be, and he and I went to an African-American church. I went to church with him, actually. And I was one of the very few white people there, if not the only one, I'm not sure. But I remember they had a message. And as we left, Tarek and I were talking. I just said, man, like, it's always unique when you're one of the only ones, of a color walking into a place where everybody else is. And he looked at me and said, that's how I live my life every day in Indianapolis. And it struck me with such conviction, because, here he is, like I said, he's 6'6", 350. I mean, he is the left tackle protecting Peyton Manning, and everybody in the world would know him by his name, this a football fan. But when he walked in, to Kane's point, when he walked into a restaurant or to a store, he got looked at differently. And we lived in the same neighborhood. Our kids grew up a few houses down, and Tony Dungy was in that neighborhood, and Steven Jackson, the NBA star, was in our neighborhood. And I can remember them telling me about policemen who would come by and drive by when we were all coming home from games, but follow Tarek and not myself. And it was something that I had no experience with. And until someone told me, hey, man, this is real, and I saw it with my own eyes, and to Kane's point, it broke my heart for him. I mean, he's one of my best friends in the world even to this day. And it destroys you when you realize, I know what's in that man's heart. I know how good of a human being is, what a great husband, father, what a great family his parents are. We all hung out together. But that was the first time I had ever thought about it from a different perspective. And from Kane's point, even what he's talking about in this song, when you really, if your heart is open, this time will change you. There's no way to not look at what just happened a week ago and the situations that have been throughout throughout society in the last 5, 7, 8 years, and really in the history of the United States. But now that we have cameras, you're seeing it. It's different. And that we will all open our heart and understand we don't all have the same start. We don't all have, it's not always equal. There is injustice just ingrained and systemically, and being able to talk about it and own it and be honest about it, right? And it doesn't mean that, that I've done something. I just need to learn what can I do to help and to benefit other people. And I thought Kane brought up a great point, man. If we're about other people and helping other people, we can solve this problem. But that's really what it is, having an open heart and not an immovable one, because with that, we ain't going anywhere.
We have to be able to ask questions and have some really uncomfortable conversations. I know for myself, this is 10, 15 years ago, I was told by somebody, look, you were born a girl in the United States. That makes you already one of the luckiest, one of the most privileged people on this planet. But you were also born a white child in this country, and that also makes you one of the most privileged people on the planet. I'll be honest, it stuck with me, but I don't think I really understood why. I'm still trying to understand what that really means. But I went out today. Today happens to be Global Running Day, and running has been a thing in my life lately where it's sort of changed my life. And I wanted to go out and I wanted to run for me, and I wanted to be a part of the celebration of that, because it shouldn't be a damn privilege to be able to go for a run. And at one point, I stopped in front of somebody's house because I was admiring their landscaping, right? Something so simple. And this thought came across me, and I thought, God, what if I had been a Black man standing in front of somebody's house admiring the landscaping? What would they think on the inside? And I'd never viewed life through that lens before. And I can't change the world, but I can change my world. And I just hope that it's a start for everywhere. And I think that these conversations are important. And I think in some ways, sports and music are going to play a vital role in all of this as well. So from your perspectives, as we move forward, as we advance the conversation, as we attempt to heal some of the hurt, how can music help that?
For me, I think my song kind of touches all bases. It's like I feel like if y'all have ever been in a sad situation, y'all found at least one song that y'all can listen to that touches every point of how you're feeling. And for me, this song does it for me. I'm just hoping that it also does it for many others. I know a lot of my fans have been asking for it, but people outside who view one side and then the other people view the other side, hopefully it'll eventually make them meet in the middle. That's what I'm hoping out of the song.
What about sports? How do you think that they can help us move forward, Jeff, and perhaps begin to heal?
Yeah, I think and from a sports perspective, it has begun. You were seeing athletes that cross all sports, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, hockey, you name it. There are guys in every league now who are making vocal stands and that are uniting in community. And one thing that has always been something that has bothered me, right? When people are like, stick to sports or whatever that thing is that people say. I used to shake my head all the time, and that's the dumbest thing anybody can ever say, right? Like we're not just we're not just sports players, right? We are embedded in communities, and no different than what Kane's saying, how you bring people together by his music because we can all relate. When we live in a community, I lived in Indianapolis for 15 years. I love Hoosiers, man. I grew up in Atlanta. I love Atlantans. I mean, like ATLians are my favorite folks, right? This is my community. And whether I'm playing football or whether I'm working for ESPN or whether it makes no difference what my quote job is, the larger perspective is being a part of this community. And I think athletes speaking out, standing with each other, explaining situations, to your point, Nicole, what you just said, having difficult conversations and walking away a little bit different than you entered the conversation goes a long way. And like we said, we can't solve the world's problem, but if each of us take a little bit apart and our hearts are open, to Kane's point about his music, and you that's relatable. Now all of a sudden we feel what it feels like, maybe a little bit better, that person's perspective. Well, man, I never thought about it that way. Sit in the chair of someone else in a different part of the room. I think that's what athletes can bring, is because when you're in a locker room, you got 53 dudes and you're all about one mission, one goal, and it doesn't matter. Like, color of skin doesn't matter, size, what someone's political beliefs, all of those things, man, you're about each other being united and moving in one direction. And I wish everybody had an opportunity to live in a locker room for as long as I did, because I grew so much as a man. My faith grew so much to see how people have walked in different people's experiences, because it is real and it is honest, and it's a place of forgiveness. It's a place of learning. And I think that's what we need, is to open it up, make it feel more like, so that we all do learn how other people are feeling.
Let me just ask this, because between the three of us, we have I have 2, 3, we have 6 kids total. Am I forgetting about one of your kids, Jeff? I don't even know at this point.
I got three.
We got 6 kids between the two.
Yes.
What is it when we go to have conversations, and Kane, I'll start with you. What is it that something you want to tell your daughter about right now?
Well, for me, my daughter's going to come up and she's going to be looked at as, into the Black community. So for me, I just want to tell her, that this has been going on for a while. This is the first time or the most, I don't even know how to explain this. This is the biggest, I would say, protest I guess feel like I've been a part of and known what was going on. And it was a scary moment. I'm glad she has no idea what's going on now. But I would just tell her, I want my daughter to come up looking at everybody the same, but I also want her to be safe as well. And just, I honestly, I have no idea what I'll tell her.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Like, because she's 7 months old. I mean, my kids are 6 and 3 and almost 4. And I said this the other day to my husband. I was like, how do you explain this to them? It's too big for their little brains to handle, but yet I want to be able to provide them with a foundation that is perhaps different than maybe the foundation I had as now someone who's 39. I don't know. Let's talk a little bit here about maybe some lighter conversations, perhaps. What do you think is one opportunity, that the fact that none of us have really left our houses in 3 months, 4 months now? I don't even know. It's Blur's Day. We're losing track. But what is perhaps one thing that this shutdown has afforded you that maybe you wouldn't have gotten if you were out there on the grind and doing things that you would normally do, Kate?
I just hanging out with my baby. I'm constantly with her, so I get to see everything, every little new thing that she learns. For a while, it was found out what her tongue was, so she was sticking her tongue out the whole day, and now she, like I said, she's doing the fake coughs. She's growing a tooth, so every time she smiles at me, she's got this little tooth that sticks through her gums. And I don't think that if I was on the road that I would get to just slow down and appreciate everything that she's doing. So that's what I'm happy for.
You, in a lot of ways, it's hard to look at it like you're lucky, but they grow up so fast and they change so much. You really are lucky to be able to be around right now. What about you, Jeff? What do you think?
Yeah, very similar to Kane. Like for me, where my kids, all my kids are very involved in outside activities, right? Extracurricular activities, whether it's sports or music or gaming, all kinds of stuff. So for my son to come home from college and be back in the house after he left, for my daughter who's going to leave next year, and for my son, for my wife and I, all of us to have this time together. I made mention before my parents moving in with us, and it's just been a very unique time that we, my wife and I, we'll never get this back where we're all under one roof and, we can watch movies together and eat dinners together. And, our life is busy, and without having to travel back and forth to ESPN, being able to do it from home, it just provided me with a unique opportunity. Another thing, my yard has never looked better, and my honey-do list is almost gone. I mean, I have knocked out, changing switches, switch plates, receptacles, you name it. But I have become a handyman of all handymans. So I have saved myself. I've learned. I've done a lot of YouTube and trying to figure out how to fix something. So, a man like myself has learned a great deal in the last couple months that I'm hoping to further on in my future, so I don't have to depend on other folks nearly as much.
I gotta say, like, I think my husband would probably say the same thing about like the honey-do list and getting things knocked off. I am not gonna miss homeschooling though.
Oh, no.
That is, Kane, you're lucky she's only 7 months old, because the homeschooling thing, there is a reason why I never attempted to pursue a career in teaching. There is a very good reason why that never happened. And there's also a reason why I think you're not meant to teach your kids. Hey, look, we've got a question for Kane, and it comes from, hang on a sec, Cameron in Memphis. So he read that you can play Guitar Hero with your feet. First of all, is that true?
Oh.
I don't know if I can anymore. I used to.
Okay. Can you play a real guitar with your feet?
No. Guitar Hero is just those, red, green, yellow buttons. Yeah.
What do you think? What's like the weirdest talent that you've got?
I have no idea.
What about you, Jeff? Got any weird talents you're hiding out over there?
I do not. I was thinking to myself that he can play Guitar Hero with his feet ever is pretty freaking remarkable. So I'm not gonna. I can't compete with any of those things. I can barely play Guitar Hero with my hands. So definitely can't play him with feet.
Definitely can't. I've got a question for you, Jeff. It's from Jose from Midlands. He's having an argument with his friends, and he would like you to help him solve this. Who's the better quarterback, Peyton or Tom Brady?
I mean, seriously? It's got to be Peyton Manning. I played with the dude 13 years. I mean, you think I'm gonna go Tom Brady now? No way, man. Listen, look, I had a great time playing with Peyton Manning. We still, in fact, before COVID hit, we were together. We went playing golf and quail hunting together, and he redefined the game. And people talk and equate Super Bowls to quarterbacks and all those kinds of things, but the bottom line is that's a team winning a Super Bowl, not one guy. But both guys are first ballot Hall of Famers. Both have redefined our game. I love both what they both stand for outside of our game. Man, they work really hard to benefit a lot of different people. Got a ton of respect for both of them. But ain't no way I'm throwing my guy under the bus, man. Peyton Manning all the way. So I'm hoping Jose was pulling for Manning, because that's the answer to the question.
What is the coolest event, Kane, that you've been to? It's kind of like a two-pronged question, but what's the coolest event? Because you played sports growing up. What's the coolest sporting event that you've taken part in?
Probably the All-Star game.
Okay, that's
the All-Star game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work too. Yeah, I mean.
Okay. Well, hold on. You can say the question again. I heard it wrong. My fault.
No, that's okay. Like, you took part in the Celebrity All-Star game. I guess I was thinking more like, Little League game, because that's as far as my athletic ability goes. What about you, Jeff? What's the coolest like sporting event that you've taken a part in?
Oh, I mean, I played in 2 Super Bowls. That was a ton of fun. Yeah. So I had some fun doing that. I will say, probably the most memorable, my last Pro Bowl, Peyton Manning and I did a snap together. He was on the AFC. I was playing for Green Bay Packers. I was on the NFC, and we came together the only time in history, and I snapped him the ball, and it was very touching to kind of finish my career that way, and just being in Hawaii and the people of Hawaii, because they are diehard fans when you're over there, and for you to be there, I thought it was really cool thing for me from a sporting perspective, especially for an O lineman. You don't ever get love like that. Offensive linemen don't. So to get that type of love and respect from other folks, it meant a ton.
What made you want to start singing, particularly because like you had athletic ability and then you chose music. So what made you decide to go that path?
Well, for one, I was very lazy when it came to my schoolwork, which I don't advise you to be.
Not supposed to admit to that.
No. But for me, I was working three jobs, and music just kind of came to me because I was just literally singing I was in the paint department at Lowe's. I was working, and I was just singing, and one of my buddies that was in high school with me, he was like, "Dude, you gave me cold chills." And I was like, "Huh?" And it was like, "You just singing just gave me cold chills." Like, "You need to try out for the talent show." Um, so then I went and tried out for the talent show, and I got like a standing ovation, and had to do an encore, and I won. So something like that just sparked me. I was like, maybe I could, have fun and do this. And I just started practicing and learning on how to become viral on the internet.
Pretty.
And now,
It's kind of amazing.
That's unbelievable.
I know. I just kind of went viral on the internet. I was thinking, Jeff, what made you choose like the sporting life?
Yeah, when I was in college, I actually went to business school at Keenan Flagler. So I thought I was going to go be involved in business. And my roommate in college had been a practice squad player for the Giants, and then he was over with the Colts, and he went and sat down with their general manager, Bill Polian, and I was working at an electric supply store in North Carolina. And so very similar to what Kane was saying, I worked. I was working. I was still working out and lifting and hoping that it worked out. But the chances of going to the NFL are very, very small. And so I never really counted on it or depended on it. And then when I got my opportunity, I jumped on it. And I tell people all the time, once to Kane's point, I loved working to be better at that game. It drove me. I was passionate about it. The same way he went and found ways to go to be viral and grow, how his brand and who he is as a man. That's what I tried to do from the NFL perspective. And as I watched it grow, I loved it more and more, and always enjoyed it. And so it turned out really, really good for me.
I feel like, as we kind of bring to close this conversation, I want to ask you guys one more question, but kind of stems from the fact that where we were, say, 4 months ago as a country and where we were a week ago, constantly changing, and we're constantly learning new things, and we're constantly adjusting and adapting and opening our minds and having different conversations. When we emerge the situation that we're in now, Jeff, I'll start with you. What is the one wish that you have on the other side for everyone?
Wow, that is a great question. I would probably say that we just, we don't lose the lessons we've learned in this about how to slow down and be about people, not necessarily the stuff, right? I know one thing I've learned is I can slow everything down and be more present with my family in the moment or with my friends in the moment. And I miss interaction with people, right? I miss my friends, you miss going and just being with them and just being around them. And I hope that doesn't, because so often when it's easy, you kind of put it in, it's kind of like no big deal. But now I think we'll realize how special spending time with other people really is. Don't lose that, because it really is about people and relationships much more than anything else. And I think connecting to that, that's what I hope we don't lose. I definitely hope I don't lose that.
What about you, Kane?
I would hope that we are just, further than we were before all this stuff started, and that we grow from it, and it doesn't, it was all for nothing. I just hope we just, keep going forward and never look back.
Open minds, open hearts. Guys, thank you so much for this conversation, the honesty, and just sort of where this went. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys all listening to the ESPN One Team Speaker Series. We also have one other note. The Undefeated, it's one of our brands. The Undefeated is filled with outstanding Black and African American voices that are the leading discussions around the death of George Floyd, activism, as well as equality and equity, and the role and the connection that sports can play and music can play sort of in this cultural crisis, this cultural pandemic. Content on the Undefeated represents just one of the ways that we at ESPN are covering this crisis over the last couple of days. It's about compassion, it's about humanity, and it's about having that open and honest conversation. Remember, guys, be safe, be kind, be well, and we are all one team. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.